My health is none of your business. Oh my God, stop. What are you doing? Eating a taco from Taco Bell? You really shouldn't be eating that. I shouldn't fuel my body because why? 1, 2, 3, eyes on me. I am not going to invalidate your experience, but you don't get to invalidate mine.
I certainly don't want to invalidate anyone's experiences here, but I do have some questions. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sam and I make weekly videos dissecting internet nonsense just like that. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. I am so happy to have you all back here with me again this week for even more internet chaos. I mean, you guys know what you're in for, and I am so happy that you keep coming back. If you are new here and this is the first time you are seeing my face, also welcome. I'm glad you decided to join us on this beautiful day for this chaotic video. I hope that if you like what you see, you'll go ahead and consider liking and subscribing, because liking helps the channel grow, and subscribing means that you want to join us over here in our little corner of the internet, and we would love to have you. Today, I want to do a deep dive with you all on something that has been on my mind lately, because there's this trend that has been quietly creeping in and taking over fat acceptance, fat liberation, and just generally plus size spaces here on the internet. The thing in question, lipedema.
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 It has been genuinely fascinating for me to watch this thing grow over the last 2 or so years, I would say. And it really started for me both with Jordan Hall, but also Anna O'Brien over at Glitter and Lasers, because she went ahead and started talking about her lipedema and then made her getting her lipedema removal surgery the bulk of her content over the last year or so. And listen, I'm not saying that these lipedema spaces didn't exist before Glitter and Lasers started to make her content. In fact, we know she was following another creator called Allison Jacobs. But what I am saying is that since she made her content the way she did and brought it to such a wide audience, I have been seeing more and more fat acceptance creators hopping on this lipedema train. Now, both for context and for in case any of you are new and don't know who Anna O'Brien is, let me give you a little bit of background on the situation. Anna is a plus-size influencer who over the last year or so has been documenting her journey with her lipedema, a chronic condition that causes hardened and painful fat to accumulate in certain areas of the body. Throughout her journey, Anna promoted her surgeries and clinics, being sure to always tag #ALTambassador, while actively denying that she was promoting her surgeries for a discount. In fact, it was only within the last month or so that she finally admitted that she was indeed getting a discount for using that hashtag.
I feel like I just need to say this because I think there is a little bit of confusion around the surgeries, and I was very honest on the podcast about having a lot of anxiety about whether or not these were going to work for me. First of all, there's this narrative that I got paid to get surgery, or I get some type of kickback if you get surgery. I literally get nothing. I did get a discount on my surgeries, but I still spent a lot of my own money.
And the real issues for me with the way that Anna was doing the things she was doing is that while she got her diagnosis offline, she used that diagnosis to quickly pivot her online content to promoting her surgeries and telling her big audience that surgery was the only solution. And even though she kept attempting to brand her content as educational in nature, she often lacked nuance, right? Including the nuance that maybe surgery was the only option for her specifically because she had later stage lipedema. That missing context is incredibly important because her platform reaches more than 8 million followers, which was the largest platform I could find in this lipedema space. So without that nuance, it's less about spreading actual awareness and more about spreading a simple, narrow-minded, one-size-fits-all message. And that message is what has been rippling through the fat acceptance community here on the internet. With all of that context now in your brain, let me switch gears and fast forward us here. And let's talk about one of these creators who I am seeing fall directly into this pipeline. And that is a creator who goes by Chunky Mac.
Just a reminder that I am very fat and very sexy. And I am 100% glorifying obesity. And there's nothing you can do.
We've not really talked about her here a whole lot on the channel, but some of you may remember her showing up in some of my earlier content where she was making a video about fat phobia and implied that Taco Bell was fueling her body.
Oh my god, stop. What are you doing? Eating a taco from Taco Bell? You really shouldn't be eating that. I shouldn't fuel my body because why? It's just not good for your health. Okay, so what? You see all these other thin people eating the exact same thing I am, yet you're targeting me? Well, yeah, because they're thin. They don't need to be told anything. Oh, so I see. You're just fat phobic, and anytime a fat person is happy living, you don't want them to be. You have to do something about it. You just have to, right? Yeah, well, guess what? I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna eat my taco.
Yeah, that one. In case you're curious, one of the reasons that I never actually covered Chunky Mac here on the channel with her own full-length video, like I have done with other creators, is that her content has always been very closely adjacent to several interesting communities that exist on the internet, right? And that is the BBW community and also the community that shall not be named. And the reason that I say that is the bulk of her content outside of these quick one-off things about fat phobia were typically her dancing in a bikini in her bathroom, eating big meals, and always framing it with title slides that say, "What a beautiful fat woman eats in a day." And while she's still tagging her videos that way, something happened recently where I started to see a shift in her content. And that is that she started to actively lose weight over the last year or so. I think you'll hear in one of her videos that she's lost around like 60 or 65 pounds now, which is fantastic. And she genuinely started to seem happier in her videos and in her content, which was really interesting to watch from someone who previously existed in these fat acceptance spaces. And then, just recently, she started popping up again on my For You page, making, you guessed it, lipedema content. In fact, one of her first videos is her asking her audience to tell her if they think she has lipedema.
I think I have lipedema. I used to be 320 pounds, but growing up, my arms used to always be big. To the point where every shirt I had to stretch the arms to fit my arms. Every single time past the ripping point of the fabric. With having bigger arms, it's always been a big insecurity, but I thought that was because I'm fat because I am plus size and I have been for a long time. Also, my grandma's and aunt of mine have arms just like this. So I always thought it was just genetics. Fast forward to when I was 320 pounds, my arms were bigger, obviously. But then I started losing weight. I am now 259 pounds. I've lost 61 pounds since my highest weight. And my arms have not gone down. At all, I don't think. But that's not the only reason I think I have lipedema. On to the other reason. I get super bad red patches, like the bumps and like the little red patches. Yeah, I don't think I have any right now. Actually, I do, like here. On top of that, I read that easy bruising is a big part of it. Now, I am anemic, but since I was diagnosed with anemia, my levels have plateaued kind of. So I don't know if that has anything to do with my anemia, but I always have bruises all over my arms, all over, especially on the chicken wing part, okay? The last reason I think I have lipedema is because this part, the chicken wing part, it hurts, okay? It hurts to have them fly in the wind and stuff. It does not feel good. I actually, when I was pregnant, they hurt so bad I had my husband massage them because it felt good. And honestly, that feels amazing. If you have lipedema or have any experiences with it, please let me know. I go to the doctor's tomorrow to find out if I have it.
And listen, I totally understand the need and the want we have as human beings to seek community and to seek our answers from people that we think are relatable to us. It's why internet forums exist, right? People are just looking for that community. But I think that this is a detrimental way to find out about things that could be very serious, especially medical problems. Because now, instead of going in and talking to her doctor with a fully open mind, sharing her own pain, her own symptoms, and asking her own very legitimate questions, instead, she's going in with a whole slew of comments rattling around in her brain. She has already been diagnosed by random internet strangers, and that might cloud the conversation. And we didn't have to wait very long for results because the very next day, she came online and shared the meeting with her doctor and how she got a diagnosis for lipedema. And to say that it's alarming is an understatement.
I have lipedema. Little backstory, I have lost 61 pounds since my highest weight at 320 pounds, and my arms have not gone down at all. They're just as big as when I started my weight loss journey. So I went to the doctor this morning and I asked her, I was like, do I have lipedema or does it look like it? I want to know if I have it so I can take the next steps to fixing it.
See, do you see? This is what I was worried about because this isn't asking questions per se. And I think that this approach is going to be a bad one.
Immediately when I mentioned lipedema, she's like, so you're wanting to do surgery? My mind freaked out, okay? Surgery scares me. So of course I was like, no, not surgery. And she's like, well, surgery is the only thing really for lipedema. And I'm like, oh, well, can I at least just have you feel and see if I have it? And then I just like can think about it.
Do you see what I mean about the alarming part? This doctor said, oh, you want to talk about lipedema that you have? Surgery is the only option. Before even examining her to see if she had lipedema. Like, that is a gigantic red flag. But Chunky Mac doesn't seem to be concerned by it at all, which is alarming. It's so alarming. And as we're going to see, even though she was given options, she's going to opt for the plastic surgeon discussion first.
And she goes, yeah. She feels my arms, confirms I have lipedema. And then she asks, she's like, okay, we have a couple options. I can send you to a lymphedema clinic to get a scan, or two, I can just send you to the plastic surgeon. Mind you, that scan she was mentioning was only for the lower extremity, not the upper. So she referred me to a plastic surgeon. I'm not sure the next steps yet, but the plastic surgeon office is gonna call me and I have to schedule an appointment there. And there's where I'm gonna figure out if I have it anywhere else. And then we're gonna decide if surgery is the right option for right now, because I am not done growing my family. I'm still gonna get pregnant, and I don't want to get pregnant and have this immediately come back. I'm not doing this to change my body. I'm doing this to improve my health. I will keep you guys updated. Bye!
And this made me want to scream for her. Why is she not concerned? Like, I have legitimate concerns about how chill she was about this conversation. If a doctor told me that surgery was my first and only option, I would have a lot of questions for them. And she didn't say that she asked them many more questions except, are you going to actually examine me? Which is huge. And why, when she was given two options, did she ignore the one that could properly diagnose her, right? Going and getting a scan at a lymphedema specialist, right? People who know what they're looking for could have triple checked for her and given her proper next steps for treatment. But instead, she was like, nah, skip that, straight to plastic surgery. Does that not seem wild to anyone else? Like, am I the only one who is immediately alarmed? And let me be clear, she might have lipedema. I'm not saying that she doesn't, but this conversation that she is sharing, the conversation her doctor had was careless. And now she is coming to the internet in a careless nature and sharing this story, making sure to hashtag where she's going to reach this very vulnerable audience of women who are now hearing once again that surgery is the only option. And it's going to keep going, of course, because after getting that formal diagnosis, she is going to deep dive into making her content about her lipedema diagnosis. Like doing the trend where she's explaining it to a naysayer, but somehow when you watch this video, she appears to be over the moon to say that she has lipedema with a big smile on her face. So as she made this lipedema content switch and started talking about it more and more, naturally, people who had been following her had questions or were just sharing their genuine concern that she was opting for plastic surgery as the first option. When they began sharing these concerns with her, she would come back with very snappy responses.
1, 2, 3, eyes on me. I am not going to invalidate your experience, but you don't get to invalidate mine. I went to the doctor, I got diagnosed. I did not go in thinking, I want my arms cut off, okay? I went in thinking she was going to tell me diet, exercise, and give me some sort of plan. That did not happen with the doctor I went to. But she's the one that told me surgery is the only way to get rid of it.
And this was, again, shocking to me because if that seems extreme, the way she's describing it, she didn't plan to go in and talk about surgery, then she should have told the doctor, I wasn't planning on talking about surgery. What are the other things I can do first? What are more conservative treatment options? And are those an option for me? Can I see a specialist? None of those things happened in the way that she's described her interaction. And if this thing was so extreme, she could have also gone and gotten a second opinion from another doctor. I think it's always valid to get a second opinion rather than just signing on the dotted line for something that supposedly makes her feel so uncomfortable.
So did I take what a doctor told me? 100%. Will I be looking into it more with my general surgeon and my primary doctor? 100%. I am not making an excuse for anything. I am willing to put in the work. The fact that I've lost 66 pounds should prove it. But oh no, it doesn't because I'm still fat. I just think it's actually hilarious how much you guys will get mad at someone for relaying what a doctor told them. And if it's wrong, you get mad at the person that was told the things, not the doctor that went to medical school.
Now you guys, I don't understand this mentality, and it is one that is very prevalent with influencers, right? Well, stop coming to me with your concerns. Why are you mad at me but not mad at my doctor who said these things? Listen, I'm going to speak for myself here. I'm not mad at anyone. I am just saying, I'm watching you say you didn't plan on talking about surgery, and she's saying that surgery seems extreme to her. She described it as cutting off her arms. Okay. And then she's saying, but I still just opted for it. I didn't even care about the other option where I could go and get a scan by a professional who could say that this is what it is. She just skipped that entirely. And when people point that out, that's them being mad at her. And her missing the entire fact that, of course, people are bringing this to her rather than her doctor because they have access to her is absolutely sending me. Because they don't have your doctor's TikTok, Chunky Mac. Like, they have to come to you. They have access to her, right? To tell her that they're concerned her doctor is misleading her.
At this point, I'm still in my figuring out stages. Had this been caught years ago, which I think it could have been, I think I would have had a shot at maintaining it with diet and exercise, possibly. But there's no way to completely know that. And there's no research supporting that. At least that's what Google told me, and you guys can get mad at Google then. But I know you won't because it's easier to get mad at the fat bitch. Absolutely no hate.
This was such a fascinating way for her to kind of close the video and wrap her talking points because she doesn't sound like a person who's in the figuring it out and researching it phase. She sounds like a person who took exactly what one doctor said and confidently decided, my mind is made up and this is where I am. And she's using that to make that very confident lipedema content for her platform. And to make things even more confusing for her audience, because why not? That's what we love to do in these spaces. Despite telling them just a few weeks ago how painful her arms were, she went ahead and made a video pinching them, flailing them around like it was no big deal.
You know what I just realized? This whole arm, this is not supposed to be my whole arm. This right here, that's my arm. This is just lipedema, bingo wings, chicken wings, but it's also weight loss. These, I could literally fly away. Put me with the planes, guys. Put me with the planes.
So are they painful or not painful? Because what is happening, okay? The one thing I will give Anna at Glitter and Lasers is when she said it was painful, she stuck to it. Every time we saw them touching or pinching or pulling or marking the areas she said were painful, she would wince in pain. This is not that. This is the exact opposite of that, and it's very confusing. And I guess what I'm really trying to say here is that I am genuinely concerned not only for Chunky Mac, but the other baby lipedema creators who are coming up in this new space, okay? Because she went from uncertain about getting a diagnosis to a real diagnosis to promoting and talking about surgeries in a pretty short time span. And the concern for me mirrors the same concern I had for Anna over at Glitter and Lasers. And that is the fact that for these creators, content is always first, and critical thinking is often second or third. And this is a very difficult conversation to have, which is why I've been holding on to it for just a little bit, because it's extremely nuanced, right? On one hand, representation is important. Seeing people who have the same ailments as you, who have the same struggle, who understand what you're going through is incredibly important. But we also live in an age where self-diagnosis content is king. We are seeing content creators all over the internet skipping talking to multiple doctors or getting multiple opinions, not sharing any nuance in their conversations, but rather just skipping right to, this is what I have and this is what you need to know. Let me go ahead and tag my surgeon. This is not limited to Chunky Mac or Anna over at Glitter and Lasers. This is part of a larger pattern that I'm starting to see across social media. And that is that oftentimes communities that start for representation purposes and actual medical awareness will quickly drift into self-diagnosis culture. TikTok in particular is full of this kind of content, whether it's ADHD, autism, PCOS, or now lipedema. People, especially young people, are watching this content, and then their algorithm is building them into this content, and they're continuously seeing themselves in these vague symptoms, and then they're convinced that they too have that diagnosis without ever speaking to a professional. And I think that's the heart of the issue for me, and the reason that it's been on my mind lately, because lipedema content doesn't seem to be about awareness anymore. It seems to be another influencer pipeline. A creator will float the idea that they have lipedema. Their audience will reinforce it with their comments. A doctor will rubber stamp it, and suddenly they're focusing all of their content on their lipedema. But when the content is created in a way that states surgery is the only option, and there's no nuance, and people are stripped of their agency to seek second opinions, and there's no conversation about this being a very complicated disease with varying stages of progression, it becomes less about the education and more about the marketing. All right, that is all I have for you all today on this topic, but I am genuinely curious to know what you think, right? This has clearly been on my mind for a while, so I just shared all of my thoughts with you. Now it's your turn to share yours with me, okay? I need to know, have you seen lipedema content popping up on your For You pages? Are you seeing more and more people kind of fall into this space? Do you think it's alarming that people like Mac have doctors telling them immediately that surgery is their only option before examining them? What do you think about the fact that she was given an option to see a specialist and still opted to talk to a plastic surgeon first? What do you think about self-diagnosis culture? I'm seeing a lot of articles, especially psychology articles, popping up and talking about this and how they're seeing floods of young people who think they have things like ADHD and autism because of the way they're consuming TikTok and the way that they build their algorithm consuming that self-diagnosis content. And finally, what do you think about these creators treating their treatments and procedures like they're brand deals? Do you think that's helping communities or hurting them? I am genuinely curious to know what you think, so I hope you will share your opinions with me in the comments section down below. You know I love to read your opinions, and I will be there shortly after this video goes up. And for all my internet friends out there who may not feel comfortable leaving your opinions in an internet comment section, I see you. Go ahead and leave me a bat emoji this week for 2 reasons. 1, your girl is trying to summon fall, so maybe we can do that with bats, bring on some fall weather. I am looking forward to it after a summer of corn sweat, okay? And second, as a person who has lost weight and also has bat wings, Chunky Mac's Batwing content really makes me laugh every time I see it. She is so relatable when it comes to the struggle of having had bigger arms. So let's go ahead and flood the comment section with some bat emojis because I love seeing your emojis just as much as I love reading those opinions. As always, thank you all so much for being here with me this week. I will see you in the next one. Bye.